Welcome back, everybody. This is Dren608 and another Dren608 Plays. I finished the 1.0 campaign so that I know everything that they included and didn't include because I was a playtester. I wanted to make sure I would be reporting on what's coming correctly. It's been about a month and a half since release. It was beginning of April. I'm going to play this under a little bit different than what you're probably seeing on YouTube. There's a lot of people doing like Commander or the higher difficulty settings to try and show off the game or whatever. I want to take this from the point of view of somebody that's kind of new to this game. Maybe you remember XCOM from the 90s, but you never got into Xenonauts 1 or anything like that, or you just want to try and see what this is all about. So we're going to go into a new game, and we get some ominous music. Oh, here. We need to turn down that sound a little bit, I think. Let me see if I can get over to my sound bar over here. Hopefully that's not too loud for you guys. Let me know if that's too loud, if I need to set the... I don't know, can I go over here? I'm going to bring down my sound bar a little bit. It's a little bit loud. Okay, come back in here. I think that's a little better. So, Soldier is kind of like normal in other games. To quote, like, let's say you were doing BG3, Recruit would be story mode, this would be balanced, this would be tactician, this would be ridiculous. RI ridiculous. They do have an Iron Man mode in any of the levels that you want to go. Iron Man basically says, one save file, that's it, guys. Live with your mistakes, okay? Extended, I'm not going to play with Extended. Extended is lets you have a whole lot more UFO missions. The way the game is set up now, after you do like 2 or 3 of a specific UFO type, they will automatically, your funding will go up and they will automatically be delegated to the region where you shot it down. You can choose to go get the UFO, but it costs you something called operational points, which are useful for many, many things. Taking out UFOs gets you materials, but not as much money. So it's a balancing tool. I strongly suggest, as do they, that you try it without the extended. And then if you feel like there's not enough missions, you want more of that tactical turn-based combat, then you come back and play another game with extended turned on. Okay? We are going to leave the tutorial on. I'm going to show you the tutorial. This first video I'm going to do is going to be the tutorial. And then when we get to the base, I will bring up the base and I'm going to go over some of the underlying factors on some of the stuff that goes on. And then we'll probably scale ourselves up to the first mission. And then the next video will be actually doing the first mission, as I think that'll be just about the proper timing. So anyway, this is what you start out with at Soldier. The amount of money, your funding isn't reduced. If you ship, like if you go to Commander, you see you only get 80% and you start with less money. There's less operation points. You get more bad guys coming after you. Enemy quantity is excessive. There's lots and lots of them. They're much better at shooting you. There's certain missions that have timers in them. It takes less time. You have less time to get it done. And UFOs shoot your fighters down a lot better. Okay? And they have different levels for each one of them. Okay? So, we're going to go with this. If you go into settings down here, I'm going to get out of the campaign for real quick. You can go into settings and you can like play around with the audio. I think I'll take these down to 80. Might help us. We'll bring everything down to 80%. Maybe that'll help with the volume as well. And you can always come in and play around with this. You can set your controls, so you can set the keys way you want them to work. Okay, and then the visual, if you have some issues with your monitor not coming out or your graphics card not working, you can mess around here. Okay, but I'm not going to do any of those. And then we're going to go into a new game. Like I said, oh, the other thing in settings, I should show one other thing. For those of us that were Kickstarters, we can actually go and select people that have 2 G's in their names, and you can select these people. It's for us that were in Kickstarter. This is the one that I chose because that I named after my uncle. So, and I kind of tried to make him look like what my uncle looked like in his prime, so to speak, which was many, many years ago, because I'm 67 and I'm remembering something from my childhood with him. Okay? So we're going to take that and we're going to go to a new game. I will probably try to reload if that person I picked gets killed in like the first few missions. So live with me on that one. That's the one guy I will try to save of all my soldiers. I'd like to see that particular person get to the end missions. They might die in the end mission, but I'd like to see him get to that far. Anyway, we will play with the tutorial, and you'll see here they named this for you. If you don't like the name of it, you can edit the name. Okay, you can actually go in and change the name of your campaign. So I think we're going to do that. We're going to call it the Dren 608 Emerald. Can I leave it as Emerald Knight? Yeah. So it's the Dren 608 Emerald Knight. Okay. And we're going to click on Begin Campaign. There's a few minutes of introduction there. By the way, if you like what you're seeing, please hit the like button, leave comments, share it with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notify bell, because I put up polls for things that I'm going to do next and stuff like that. And there should be a link to my Discord called Dren 608 Plays, which is talking about this channel and what you guys want to see me do on it. So, there, my commercial part is over, and let's go and begin the campaign, shall we?
The year is 2009.
They've revoiced this.
Is on the brink of nuclear war. Tensions between capitalist and communist nations are at boiling point. Every opportunity for peace has failed, as if an invisible hand inexorably steers humanity towards annihilation. We Xenonauts know the truth. The dark forces poisoning our politics are not human in origin, and we must protect our planet against this extraterrestrial threat however we can. After years spent gathering information on an enemy that few believe exists, we are finally ready to strike back. The war for our future begins now.
Okay. And it's going to load this up. Those 3 figures you saw there, the guy in the lab coat is your scientist. The female was the operations officer, and the guy with the beard was the commander, which is basically you. I really wish that they wouldn't have forcibly made the commander a male. I think that it would have appealed more if the commander could have been male or female. Okay, so we're going to go through the tutorial here. As you can see, Xenonauts 2 control a secret organization attempting to protect the world from the alien invasion. Short tutorial explain the basic controls and events leading up to the start of the campaign. It's good for story reasons. Once you've done it once, you know, like when I'm doing my playtesting and stuff, I skipped this because I don't need to do this over and over and over again, but I thought for this initial video we should do this. And then when we get out of here, I will show you some of the mechanics that are behind some of the numbers and things that you'll see on the screen. So we say proceed, and then they show you about text links. If you hover over a text link, it goes up there, and you saw the little time thing? There'll be a little time wheel up here. It's about 1.5 seconds. And then it links again. And if you do this, see, it does it again. So you can have nested tooltips and find your stuff. And then click proceed. And now we talk to our chief scientist. They don't give him a name, they just call him chief scientist. It would have been nice if they'd had been able, if you were allowed to like name the scientist and name the operations officer, that would have been cool. But this was the one thing I was hoping that they would actually be able to do, but they were not able to come up with the budget to do it. I would have loved to have seen the scientist and the operations officer be voiced, because they don't have that many lines, and I think it would have been very much more of an immersive situation to hear them speak these lines. So I'm going to do my best to imitate them. I do a very bad female voice, so please bear with me. My work on our radar array is now complete. Theoretically, Atlas Base should now be capable of tracking any alien UFOs within our radar range. Thank God. It wasn't exactly easy to borrow all those things you wanted. What happens now? We wait. An alien craft should pass in the next few days. At that point, the General takes over. Assuming his return from his expedition. Don't worry, he'll be back in a few days. Until then, the Commander should be perfectly capable of filling in. And then you go around here. It tells you about radar range, just this blue circle, okay? As you can build up to 3 radars per base, and it will make the circles bigger. When you see me place my first base, you'll see what I'm talking about. And we go proceed. And it spins along for a little bit. It's actually going to reset the time counter when we get done here. Oh, and I have to hit this button. This sets your speed. And a lot of times you'll run at 3 or 4 when you're just sitting here with nothing to do and you're waiting for stuff to get done. So they click on this, and you see how fast it spins the time. And it'll tell you about anomalies. These things... Hostile action that has raised local panic. They are not interactive, but may indicate the presence of possible hidden problem in Vedic collision. Start of the game, these are usually generated by UFOs as they fly around the map. Okay. And now we should get a UFO showing up. Here we go. And we get a UFO, a small UFO. So we're going to launch our interceptors. And we have 2 of them. Now this is predetermined on what's going to happen here. You will lose one of these angels. It's guaranteed. That allows you to select the aircraft to be launched. The aircraft up to 3 can be formed into a squadron. Currently I only have 2. These have been selected for use automatically, so press the launch aircraft button to proceed. If you had more of them, if you had like, say, 4 interceptors at a base, you could unclick one, say that was maybe damaged, and put in a different one, okay? But we just click on launch. And we get there like immediately. They don't even show you traveling on the map. Interceptions have reached the UFO and are ready for initiate combat. Now, one of the things you can do is you can click on auto resolve, which I will do when I find my first one, and I'll show you what you can do with that. Auto resolve they'll go in dumb and fight. They will take, usually, you will take far more damage than if you do it yourself. And then the only reason why you would, I don't know why you would tail target, but tailing until over land means that's the only way you can get. It says right there, shooting down a UFO over water will not generate a crash site tactical mission. Wreckage of valuable items within sync without trace. Button orders your squadrons to tail the UFO until it passes over land, at which point they will automatically re-engage the UFO. So that you want to shoot them down over land so you can get stuff from them. Anyway, we're supposed to commence this attack. We're entering engagement range of the extraterrestrial craft, Commander. Putting it up on the big screen. How do we think this is going to play out? Unknown. We have no data on the capabilities of these alien craft, or what weaponry they may carry. I suppose there's only one way to find out. Let's start by attacking with missiles. This is where you get your first surprise. This is the air combat screen where Xenonauts interceptor aircraft attempt to shoot down alien UFOs. Maximum of 3 combatants may be present on each side. Now, normally, if you had the choice to set things up, you would set up these guys on opposite sides so that he could only turn to fight one, and then that one could try to bait him and run away while the other one comes up from behind and shoots it down. But they're not giving us that choice. They're going to jump away in 50 seconds, so we have to go after them. Participating in this battle, you can select an aircraft by clicking on them directly or by clicking on their information panel on the right of the screen. Click on Angel 2 directly to select it. If you can also press 2 or collect it. So you could click over here, you would click here, or you can press the number 2. And we're in the deployment phase. Before the combat begins, during this phase, you can freely reposition aircraft with green deployment zone. And you can left click where it goes. I normally don't set it this far away. I set it like right up on the edge, but this is their tutorial. Currently flying intercept paths towards UFO. However, we should order the second interceptor to maneuver behind UFO instead. Click the highlighted area in the UFO to set movement point. So we click there. And now you can say, you can go maximum speed, the afterburners, so they're showing you how all this works. So here you click on the afterburners. Afterburners, this will increase the speed and accelerate the aircraft, but will prevent it from firing weapons. Disable the afterburners, press the toggle again when the aircraft is using afterburners. It will not be possible to control the speed of the aircraft using throttle element. It will be located at maximum speed. And then once we're done, they always want me to go here. I always run it here at game speed, half. I don't like running at game speed, normal. But this is the tutorial, so they're going to make me do this. The missiles flew straight past. What happened? They appear incapable of locking onto the UFO. It has no radar signature and is emitting minimal heat. Better close the distance. We'll have to do this the old-fashioned way. Now, all weapons except missiles display the fire arcs of the battlefield. To view the firing arc of a missile, you hover over it. Weapons can be disabled, enabled by clicking on their aircraft information panel. Disabling weapons does that. They're not going to let me do the maneuver. Evasive roll. Okay, so you can do this. See, they want me to go this way. I want to go that way, but they aren't going to let me. So I have to evasive roll this way. And it's going to roll me to the left to avoid their first shot. My first Angel went down. Not been permanently destroyed, it will require overhaul before it can fly again. It will therefore take much longer to repair than an aircraft that finishes battle with health remaining. Okay? And they're doing this on purpose to show you the consequences. Managed to maneuver into an invitation to proceed. Now you click on that and it will close on it. I would have turned much earlier than this, but we have to turn off the afterburner, so we'll shoot it when we get up there. Nice job, Commander. Indeed. We must locate and recover the downed alien vessel as soon as possible. In the meantime, I will see what I can learn from the telemetry. I may be able to enhance the survivability of our interceptors now we have collected some basic data on the alien weapons. And then this is your result. In a normal battle, it wouldn't have gone that way. The second interceptor would have been on their tail much sooner, and the first one would have rolled in a different direction and probably tried to peel away from it to bait it into chasing it. So you hit the accept result. Then it comes up with a crash site, and they talk to you about all of this. Common tactical mission that allow you to capture alien technician for your research. Press the launch combat. This is a tactical turn-based mission that you'll get. You can click on this to show. I don't know if they'll show it to me. No, they won't. So you click on the launch combat team. It will tell you what the mission type is. The biome, which is the kind of, like, you're going to be in jungle, urban, docks, farmland, Arctic. What am I missing? I'm sure I'm missing a couple. And there's like half a dozen of each type that they have. So the layouts won't always be the same. They'll be they'll be generally, you'll know the kind of terrain that's there, but which tiles are where is not always the same. So it presents you new tactical challenges each time you go. Anyway, to go here, you launch your combat team, and it's going to say, what do you want to launch? Sometimes you might have more than one ship that can carry people in a base, and therefore you would have to do that. So now we go launch aircraft. And it just shows, here's the layout of all these people and what they can do. In a tactical mission, they're just going to have us, excuse me, they're going to have us launch the dropship because something else is going to happen. But you can actually go in here and reassign people different weapons, and maybe somebody has, maybe somebody has a strength, like this, they're not letting me click off of this first soldier, but like some might have better strength, so they're better suited for being like a heavy assault. Wartime units are usually heavies or assaults. Strength is for heavies, and accuracy is for snipers. When we get to our first thing, we'll go over all the soldiers again. So here we go. We launch this top ship, and as we do that, hold the launch, Commander. We're picking up a friendly signal. The General is back. Fortuitous timing. I'm not so sure about that. There's a convoy of trucks heading our way. ... Those appear to be cleaner vehicles. It seems highly improbable that the General would ever voluntarily join forces with them. Exactly. Commander, put your men on alert and deploy them in the entry tunnel. Something's definitely wrong here. And then we get to load. This is, again, the tutorial mission. You will have a soldier get shot. It's just going to show you how all the mechanics work. So that's what this is for. That's why I'm doing this. When we get done with this, we'll be able to place our first base, and I'll talk about decisions that you have to make there. And then we will get into the base, and I will show you things. So here we are, camera controls. You can use WASD to move the camera. You can rotate it with Q and E. I have it set to 30 degrees on my setting, which I think is the most control. It can set to 30, 45. They have one, I think the initial is like 90 degrees, which makes absolutely no sense because it makes you impossible to see like just a little bit around a corner and stuff. So we do that. And then you can use the scroll key, but I believe you also can use, well, maybe not. So see how you scroll up and down? Now, everything you do here is in time units, which is this little green clock thing here. It takes time units to do everything. It takes time units to shoot, different levels of shooting. It takes time units to heal yourself with a medikit. It takes time units to move. It takes time units to crouch. And you can actually increase your morale by not moving so far. So like if you're hiding in cover and waiting for the enemy to come, and they didn't come through the door this turn, you can just say, well, I want to sit here anyway. I'm going to use 60% of my time units to hide, and I would still have enough left for an aimed shot. So anyway. 60 time units, which I was just talking about. Welcome back to Atlas, General. How did the meeting go? Can't help but notice you've made some new friends. The Xenonaut project has been terminated, Director. Lay down your weapons. There's no need for this to turn ugly. ... Earth is under attack, General. You know that. We're not going to surrender our planet without a fight. Director, you're making a mistake. There is no extraterrestrial threat. Open the blast doors and surrender, or your people are going to get killed. No extraterrestrial threat? What happened to you, General? Director, This isn't a discussion. I'm giving you 5 minutes to make a decision. You're outnumbered and there's nowhere to run. Think carefully about your choice. Over and out. Dot. If we surrender, what's the probability we turn up dead a week from now? Based on everything we know about the cleaners, approximately 100%. Yeah, that's what I figured too. Now seems like a good time to evacuate to the backup facility. The backup facility? I wasn't aware we had one. Nor was the general. Commander, we need your men to hold the tunnels while we get everyone aboard the helicopter. Buy us as much time as you can, but don't get yourself killed. Now the general's gone, we can't afford to lose you, too. And now they get to show you how things move. They show you how to move here. You click on a space, and it shows you how far it would move. It shows how many time units you have left when you're done moving. That's the little number in the circle there. And then you click it again, and you actually move there. So it's really very good tutorial. And then they show you how to like turn to face where you want to shoot at. And then you can crouch, which gives you a little bit better use of the cover. Makes it harder for you to hit. Okay? And it supposedly helps you a little bit with accuracy too. And then we click end turn. And they just automatically move a whole bunch of people in here. Willy-nilly. Just run up. And here's the rest of them. So we have a whole bunch of people. And here come the bad guys. Yay, bad guys. Okay. So now we're going to be shown how we can attack enemies. If you highlight over him, it shows you the chance of hitting. Green number on the left shows how many time units. And the white number shows you the percentage chance. Okay? On higher level difficulties, they do not show you the health of the enemy or how much damage you've done to them. So when you're playing on the extremist, hardest one, the highest level thing, they don't tell you how much health the enemy has, and they don't tell you how much damage you do to it when you shoot it. So you have no idea whether the shot was effective or not. Each shot can do from 50% to, I think it's twice as much, 200%. So it's from a half to 200%. It's something like 50. I think it's 60% to do normal, 20% to do under, to do the half, and then it's 10% for 150% of your damage number, and 10% to doing twice as much damage. Something like that. So it tells you about that, then you click it, click him again, and you shoot him, which is cool. You scored a hit, inflicted 20 damage. Weapons will inflict between 50 and 100 for 50% of their damage value with each hit, depending on the part of the body. Your soldier has enough time units to attack again, so fire a second shot at the same target. There. See, that time I did 40 damage, the first time I did 20. So that's the difference between the numbers that come up. Now, you can press the space bar, moves you on to the next soldier. Now, if you highlight here, between the shorter and target represent the shot path. The path is green where the weapon is within range, but the path turns orange where the weapon is firing beyond its maximum range. Weapons have a lower hit chance to inflict reduced damage when attacking beyond maximum range. Click any way to attack them at 36%, and you missed. It's their target. Place the specifier to go to the next guy. Corporal Jane. She is using a shotgun, which is much more effective at close range. Move them to this highlighted tile. So if you click here, you're going to move up here. And now you can see that you have an 83%. That's the most expensive thing. If you can see down here, it was highlighting this when I highlighted over that. That's the most expensive shot. However, you can do a less expensive shot at lower accuracy and be able to shoot twice, which is what they're telling you to do it. So I right-clicked on the target, See, I can change. Oh, the tutorial's not going to let me go back. But I changed it down to 16 time units to use. So I fire, and I miss badly. But I get to shoot again. So I shoot him a second time. And I actually hit that time. You see 32, 41, 42. So I did pretty good damage on the second time. Press space to select the next active soldier. Now this guy wants to shoot there, but has a terrible shot. So we want to get rid of the intervening cover. Okay, so what we do is we click on this guy here, who has a shotgun, and we hold down the control key to shoot there. And then we click, boom, we blew up the boxes. Now we go back to this guy, and he has a 96% chance of hitting. So we go ahead and shoot. And we did a really good hit there, 50 points. He was a sniper. Sniper rifles do more damage. Grenades can be effective at inflicting damage and moving cover in an area. Click the button on the demolition charge to select it as an active weapon. So I'm going to click that. That's this guy here. And then you want to throw it here because you want to get rid of cover. It did a little bit of damage to them and took out their cover. Now, there's sufficient time to fire their main weapon, but the pistol as their secondary slot can still be fired. So you check the pistol, and then you can shoot this guy, and then you can shoot this guy. You're surprisingly accurate with your pistol at that range. And now you go to the next, this is our last active soldier. And then they're going to show you a neat trick. If you click here, and then if you hold the shift key, it shows you how much you can actually do that. Then if you click the button, you should move up and shoot him. And you've done your thing. Now you press the end turn, and this is where they get a soldier killed because they're not bright. Get a whole bunch more cleaners coming in. Good work, Commander. The helicopter is airborne. You should be able to escape through the tunnels. So, I'm going to order this sort of move. They're going to get shot by Overwatch fire and die, because they make me do this to show you what Overwatch fire is like. So you go here, and this guy goes, I have time units left, I shoot you in the back, and you die. Soldier was just killed by enemy Overwatch fire. If a unit ends its turn within enough time units remaining to fire its weapon, it may then perform Overwatch fire during the enemy turn. Suppressing the enemy will prevent Overwatch fire, and flashbangs are a good way to generate suppression. Select the flashbang and throw it at the highlighted tile. Okay. So we select the flashbang, and we throw it here, and we'll suppress them. Now, normally, if you had somebody exposed like that, that would be the first thing you would do, is throw a suppression grenade so somebody could run away. So they're very annoying that way. All of these enemies have been suppressed. Suppression immediately removes all time units from the selected unit, which prevents them from being able to Overwatch fire, as they can no longer afford to fire their weapon. Suppressed units are also easier to hit with melee weapons and will only recover 50% of their normal time units the following turn. They do have melee weapons. They have knives. They have stun batons. I don't... Oh, and then there's a specific suit of armor that has a big metal fist, which is a melee weapon. So it's like you can suppress them and then have somebody walk in there and just start beating them with sticks, literally. Okay, so we say proceed. Now this person, an alternative way to losing soldiers or Overwatch fire is to make them harder to hit. This tile of smoke reduces the hit chance of any shot passing through it, so smoke grenades are an excellent way to protect your soldiers. Select the smoke grenade, and you throw it here, and they will all be in a big pile of smoke. All enemies are out of time units suppressed or screened by smoke. Move your soldier in the highlighted tile to complete the tutorial. So we move her back here, and they say, nice work. Once you've cleared the base, I'll transmit the coordinates for the backup facility. Tutorial complete. You are now ready to take on the alien invaders in the full campaign. No, we're not. Not if you've ever played this game before. You have no idea what's going on. But then they all just kind of run away, and you get to do your thing. And mission complete. Even though I lost somebody. So now we'll go out to the strategic layer, and I will go over base layout, putting down the base. Decisions you need to make. and why I make the decision I make, which is not necessarily the best, but it's pretty good. Here we go. The Shadow War. See, this here, if we'd had our narrator from the original, from the intro screen, you could have had her read this, and then have this guy read his line, and then she'll read her line. It would have been really immersive to have those voice actors in there, but we just couldn't get it done. The Shadow War. Few believe our enemies exist, yet the malign tendrils of their influence can be felt across our planet. Rising tensions between capitalist and communist nations threaten to spark a ruinous nuclear war before the invasion even begins. Ah, Commander! Good of you to finally make an appearance. Welcome to our backup facility. We should be safe here, at least for a while. No getting around the fact that we're living in a derelict nuclear bunker full of 60 years junk, though. Hope you're fine with cold showers, cold food, and, well, cold everything. The temperature is the least of our concerns. My work suggests we have mere months before the aliens can launch a full-scale invasion. If we are to prepare, we must gather data on the alien forces scouting our planet. Of course, the cleaners are unlikely to make that easy. And that's why I called this meeting. Commander, I'm formally handing over control of the organization to you. The situation has changed, and we need someone with military experience making the big decisions. I'll run day-to-day matters, like keeping us supplied and getting this place patched up. All you need to do is figure out how to win the war. Congratulations on the promotion, Commander. One hopes you prove equal to the task. Now we get to place our base. This is where I'm going to talk a little bit about placing the base. Okay? As you can see, there's different costs to where you place them. And it has to do with the coverage, because like look down here, Southern South America, Southern Africa is 500,000. It's 750,000 in Australia, just about everywhere you go. Or as you go up and you cover more area, it gets much more expensive. See, it's 1.5 million there, 1.5 million there. But now if I go up here into the Himalayas, it's 1.25. If I go in the middle of Russia, it's only $1 million. But if I move over here where I get closer to covering Europe, it's 1.25. And it's 1.5 to be like right in. And then you can go down here. So it's all a matter of where you want to have your base. Most of the places in the U.S. are $1 million. If you go down here, because you're covering more of 2 continents. So there's 6 regions. There's North America, Latin America, Africa, Europe, Soviet Union, and Asia Pacific. So where you put your first base is kind of a big decision. What I tend to like to do, and this is just me because I'm this way, although I really like Crete, it's a little too expensive. So what I do is I move up here and put my base down about where Sparta should be. Okay? That'll cost me 1.25 million to put my base there. And then I'm going to rename it, you guessed it, Sparta. Whoops, I have caps on. Sparta 1. And we will accept this. Now they tell us about the Doomsday Counter, which is this thing down here. Our objective for this first part of the game is we have to prevent the Doomsday Counter exceeding 100. Aliens are attempting to spark a nuclear war by raising tensions between capitalist and communist nations. By the way, this is alternate history. Basically, the Cold War didn't end. The late 80s, early 90s there. The Cold War didn't end. The Soviet Union is still the Soviet Union. Communist China is still very much antagonistic to, in real terms of military antagonism, to the West. And you have everybody you know, basically the infamous MAD is what they're trying to trigger, mutual assured destruction. And it's been going on for 20. It's supposed to be starting, I believe, in 2009. So it would be about 20 years that this has been going on, that all this nonsense has been happening, and that we've been sort of a shadowy organization in there trying to keep it from happening. And now it's really ramping up. So the aliens are attempting to spark a nuclear war between capitalist and communist nations. If they succeed, the scattered human survivors would have no hope of repelling an invasion. We must keep the doomsday counter under control until the invasion begins. Allowing it to exceed 100 for more than one day will result in alien victory. Successful enemy activity on the geoscape will increase the doomsday. Okay? Now, one of the reasons why I picked the space that I did, we'll zoom out here. You can see this big circle here. That's my initial radar coverage. I'm covering Africa, Europe, part of the Soviet Union, and even a little bit of Asia Pacific. So I can possibly influence a whole 4 different regions. My second base will be built in the U.S., southern part of U.S., to cover the USA and a good portion of Latin America. That's where they will go. So now we're going to go into the base. There's a reason why I want to come to the base. First off, the base they give you is the worst possible base layout that anyone could ever think of. I've done videos on that before in the pre-order. I was unsuccessful in getting them to at least let it be randomized. Every time you play the game, it starts out this way. This is always here. These two are always here. This is always here. This is always here. These are here. This is here. This is here. Whether you like it or not, that's the way they started. It's very, very annoying, but that's what they do. But I wanted to go over some mechanics before I do some base building, and then we will stop as soon as we get to the first mission, because we're at 41 minutes now. 42? 42 minutes. Okay, I wanted to go into the soldier screen. These are all our current soldiers. We're all privates, which I find hilarious that everybody in the group is a private. Technically, if you have any kind of squad, you need at least a sergeant and a couple corporals for fire teams. You know, if you had 2 4-man teams, you'd have a sergeant and a corporal at least in an 8-man squad. So I find it funny that everybody starts off as a private. We're all privates in this organization. But I wanted to go over some things. If you go over here and you right-click on these, they tell you what they are. Your health is your hit points. Units with higher health sustain more damage in battle before being killed. Now, if you go to time units, and then you go highlight up to here, that tells you more about how it works, okay? So, your time units represent the action points you can spend each turn in battle performing actions, for instance, moving or firing weapons. Each unit is refreshed to full time units at the start of their turns. Although movement uses fixed time unit costs, while most attack actions use percent-based time unit costs. That's important, meaning soldiers with higher time units are more mobile and versatile than those with lower time units. If you get high enough time units, you can actually reload a weapon and still fire it in the same turn. But it takes a very large number of time units to do that. Did not want to leave my little screen there. Okay. Units will automatically spend any remaining time units on Overwatch fire during the alien turn if a suitable opportunity arises. The base value for time units is equal to the time units attribute for each combatant, but can then be modified by various factors including bonuses for penalties from equipment, suppression, or encumbrance. If you carry too much, you lose some time units, which you'll see when I outload my troops. Okay, so that's that one. Accuracy. Accuracy determines how accurate is firing weapon in combat. Soldiers with high accuracy are capable of hitting enemies far more reliably than soldiers with low. However, soldiers with low accuracy are not useless. Weapons with a high short-range bonus, i.e., e.g., shotguns, do not require high accuracy to be effective. And then you go to the short-range bonus. Most weapons receive a hit chance bonus when fired at short range. This is applied once for each tile closer than maximum range. For example, a rifle with a range of 20 tiles might have a 2% bonus. A shooter stood 15 tiles from the target would have a 10% bonus, and a shooter stood 11 tiles from the target has an 18% bonus. So it'll tell you in the weapon what the bonus is for each tile you get closer, so closer shots are better. This is a flat bonus, so it is not affected by the accuracy of the soldier or the accuracy modifier of the weapon fire mode. Note that some weapons, melee weapons, sniper rifles, do not receive a short-range bonus because sniper rifles are supposed to shoot from a long range. That's why they're called sniper rifles. That makes sense. And it wouldn't make sense to have accuracy bonus for being closer when you're hitting them with a knife or a stick. I mean, if you're trying to stun them or stab them, I mean, that just makes sense. Strength. I believe this is the one. Yes. Strength is used to calculate the carrying capacity of a soldier, how far they can throw grenades, and how effectively they manage recoil when burst firing a weapon. Especially, so high strength guys are the guys that you have carry your heavies. If you look at our heavy, he has a strength of 53. The next house strong guy has to be the shield because shields are ridiculously heavy. So shield and heavy weapon guys are always your strongest in the group. Okay? Now it tells you here, soldiers gain 10 progress points for every one-time unit spent on movement when carrying over 80% of their maximum carrying capacity. So, progress points, you want them to work more. So you want to be as close to maximum or maybe even a little bit over, so that at the beginning of the combat when you're moving them out and trying to get them in position, every time unit they're spending, they're getting 10 progress points. Well, what are progress points, you ask? Progress points. Soldiers gain +1 in an attribute for each 1,000 progress points they gain for that attribute. It's 1,000 progress points. Remember, you're only getting 10 progress points for every time unit that you spend moving. So if you spend 40 time units moving when you have a full load, over 80% of your load, you get 400 of these progress points. Okay? Quickest source of progress points is combat experience via tactical missions. Killing a hostile unit awards that soldier 200 progress points to all attributes, but each attribute also has a unique way to generate progress points. You get 20 progress points in accuracy for each time unit spent firing weapons at hostile units. However, the training room base structure will also generate progress points on an hourly basis to all soldiers stationed at the base. The rate varies depending on the training rate and the training efficiency. Training facility will train 12 soldiers at about 2.5 points per hour. But if you have more than 12, the efficiency goes down, so the net 2.5 gets lowered by a percentage. Note that progress point generation suffers from diminishing returns. So if we go down to diminishing returns, it's going to tell you. It becomes harder for soldiers to improve their attributes with every increase they earn. So for the first +5, it's 1,000 points per increase. For the next 5, it's 1,250. For the next 5, it's 1,500. For the next 5, it's 1,750, and so on. For everything over 3,100, it's 4,000 progress points per increase. This means the soldiers with high starting attributes will be very valuable because, they're already up there. They don't have to spend time getting those points. One of the things that helps you, I did this in my playthrough when I was messing around, trying to make sure I knew everything that was in here. I had bases built that were basically like 3 hangars, air defense weapons, radars, and 1 living quarters that held like 8 soldiers and a couple of defense mechanisms for the base to repel any invasions that got through the anti-UFO fire. And I had a training center in each one of those places, in both of those bases. And by the time I got to the end game, everybody had earned enough points that they were actually promoted to like majors. They were just, and part of your promotion is based on your stats. So it's a combination of stats and kills. But I had majors in all my training. The guys that started out as privates in my training things all ended up being majors by the time I got to the end. They still weren't as good as the people I ended up sending on the thing because you can get far more points by actually doing stuff than just sitting around in a training room. Training room does at some point get to the point where you can't really do much, but it will get you up enough to help. Okay. So that's the thing that people need to know about. That's how progress points work. So you want people to be doing things. You probably want to rotate your soldiers through combat missions. A lot of times you have to do that because they get wounded and stuff. So that's just the way it is. Reflexes. This is I didn't go over encumbrance, did I? Sorry. So recoil is when you're firing a weapon in burst, reduces your hit chance. If you have less accurate, the more shots are fired. First shot is the most accurate, and the last shot is the least accurate. Effects of recoil are reduced by strength. The unit firing the weapon, so strong soldiers are more effective with burst fire weapons than weak ones. That's why you want to have your heavy soldier have a high strength, which is why you see my 53 guys are carrying heavy weapons. Same thing applies to assaults, but that's for a different reason. Because that is, oh god, stop. Click, there we go. Carrying capacity. Soldier represents the maximum weight of equipment they can carry battle before suffering a time unit penalty as a result of being overloaded. Each soldier receives 30 you always can carry 30, plus 1 additional capacity per point of strength. So, if you have 53 strength, you can carry 83 points worth of stuff without any penalties. Shield you see down here, he has 57, so he can carry 87 points worth of stuff, which is important because shields weigh like 40 or something like that. Shields are ridiculously heavy. Reflexes. So this is for determine the hit chance of melee weapons, and when reaction fire, also known as Overwatch fire, occurs. Units with higher reflexes are less likely to trigger reaction fire than units with lower. And then time units. You have to save some time units, enough to be able to actually shoot a thing. Okay. So they talk about the time units there. Get off with that. And then reaction fire here. So here it is. Overwatch fire is triggered automatically. An Overwatch check occurs if a unit performs an action in the vision cone of a hostile unit, and an attack will occur if the overwatching unit has enough time units to attack with one of its equipped weapons. The overwatching unit has a higher initiative than the enemy unit. Reflexes times the percentage of time units remaining. If these two conditions are met, the overwatching unit will perform an attack. This consumes time units, which reduces initiative. The best way to avoid enemy overwatch fire is to use units with high initiative. But as suppression causes a unit to lose all remaining time units, there's also an excellent way of preventing casualties. So you can throw a grenade that'll suppress them and then run around and do stuff. That's what they're trying to tell you. Okay? Let's get off the reflexes. And then bravery is kind of a little different thing. Represents mental discipline. Soldiers with high bravery suffer less morale loss on the battlefield, making them less likely to panic in dangerous situations. Bravery also plays a role in defending against extraterrestrial psionic attacks, with higher bravery giving a greater chance of resisting negative effects. That is one of the things on a soldier. Is I showed you that thing about focus your mind. It gives you a temporary boost to your bravery. So if you think you're going to be in a world of hurt or whatever, you can do that and possibly help yourself out. So that takes care of, that's the basics I wanted to go over. Okay. We do have soldiers here that I'm going to need to equip out properly. I'm not sure if somebody in here might be better. I've got an accuracy 63, but no strength. No accuracy, not many time units. This guy has a decent strength and a decent accuracy with good health and good time units, so he's probably going to have to be out there. This guy's okay. He's got a little bit too much on the weight because that's why it's 58. It's -1 because he's a little bit over his weight, but he's worth white. Then over here they talk to you about you can sort things in the order that you want. The assignments panel here, you can who's in the ship, and the planned loadout is over here. This is what a normal rifleman takes. I will be adjusting these. Okay. I will set up my riflemen to be the way I like to have them. I tend to drop this and take heavy armor, because heavy armor keeps your soldiers alive. I would rather have less things like this and more armor to keep people alive in the combat, because the enemy will hit you, and if you have less armor, like right now he has 6 armor. If I were to put on heavy armor, he goes up to 12. But notice his weight capacity is way over. So then I have to get rid of something to try and get it back. I'm still down by 7, so I probably have to drop something else. But that's the general idea. Okay? So you're trying to manage all this can be very tedious. Some people just don't bother, but that's something you should pay attention to. This right here, you have several automatic things here. I tend to reset these right away. When I think I'm going to be going into some place where I'm going to have a lot of cover I need to destroy, if I do not have a Mars or an Ares around to be able to carry missiles to do that for me, I will assign a Grenadier instead of a missile, instead of a tank. And their grenades are great at getting rid of cover, but not very great at doing anything else. So you can have them go in with like 8 grenades to help get rid of cover, and then I usually have them take in 4 smoke grenades as well, so that if you get rid of cover, and then you can throw down smoke to cover yourself and foil enemy shots and things. Okay. In here, we don't have anything to build for our. I should probably close all these, huh? Sorry, I should have closed those for you. In here, there's nothing we can do. We can't build an aircraft because we need an empty hangar. And we're working on the cleaners, which we'll get in 11 hours. Okay? Back to the base. And we're at 56 minutes, so I'm going to go through this relatively quickly. One thing that will happen is you may very well get attacked in your base. Okay? Getting attacked in your base is not the end of the world if you've built it correctly. They do not build it correctly. There is right now, through the hangars, they can get into here and they can get into here. Okay? And I'm going to need to build more hangars. So this is the way I try to mitigate some of that problem. One of the first things I do is I build a living quarters here. And I will build another generator because I'm going to need it, but I build it over here. I have 2 million left. I like to get a medical center going because it takes. See, this will be up and give me enough power that it figures out that I'll have enough power by the time I get done with these to cover this. Still have 50 left. And then a lot of times I will go ahead and spend the ridiculous amount of money on a training center right away. Because that takes 20 days to build. Okay? Now, when I get around to it, the next big thing I will buy will be a laboratory, which is $500,000. But I won't be doing that right away. What I will be doing is I will be generating another hangar so that I have it available when I want it. Okay, I have 300,000 left to buy stuff, and then that's where we'll end. That's what I do for my bases. This is basically my main base layout for a while. I will add another hangar at some point, but otherwise, other than this being added, that's going to be it. One thing you should do early on, which costs a little bit of money, is go look at your soldier pool. What you're looking for is like here. This lady right here, she's got a strength of 60. She's not very accurate. She's got lots of time units and lots of strength, right? And halfway decent reflexes. She could be a really good heavy or shield person, all right? This person here, not so good at those things because they don't have any hit points. And if you're a shield, you need to have hit points to be able to absorb stuff, okay? So I also see, I'll have Falk here at 55. Oh, this guy's, Yuri is very good. Yuri is very, very good. We're going to have to take Yuri. Yuri's very good. We're just going to hire 2 soldiers because that's all the space that we have. 65 time units. He doesn't have as many time units as I'd like, but he'll get them soon enough. Lousy accuracy. A little bit low on the strength, but better accuracy. So I think we're going to hire the Soviets. We're going to bring the Soviet army in here. We're going to recruit those 2 soldiers. Now, they will be 3 days. They're a couple days out before they show up, so they won't be able to help me. I will go through my soldiers and reassign everything before we actually go out on a mission. Okay? And I think that's where we're going to call it here. So we've done everything that we need to do. This is where I would assign who's going to be in the boat and what their roles will be, what their equipment loadouts will be, and so on. Right now with the aircraft, all we have is an autocannon. We don't have anything else we can put in there. in time, we can change this to a fuel pod. The X-25 is good for like the first 60 days or so. By 90 days, you need to be thinking about building a new kind of airship if you can. This here is going to be, tells you all the stuff that you need, all the stuff you already know, and as you learn new things. So you see all these things that have hyphens. We don't have any of that right now. So we can talk about these things. We can show our, this is the only weapon we have. This is the only armor we have. It shows you the weight and stuff, and it also tells you whether you need to build it or not, which is important. Because like here, we have 4 hard points, but the payload is 11. So when you look at the airplane, we have 5, 6, 7, 8 there. So we can't really put anything else in here, okay? So they don't let me mount 2 autocannons. So I'm allowed to have 1 autocannon, and then these are sort of like smaller weapons points. So it's like I have 4 hard points, but one of them is always equipment, and then I have 3 weapons. Later airplanes have like 4 weapon slots and 1 equipment. So later airplanes can carry a little bit more stuff. Okay. I think that covers about everything. Someday I'll be able to build stuff with these guys. And now this guy will have to get some stuff done. So that's it. We've built out our base. We're down on money. We have to wait for things to happen. Okay. So we're going to go out here. And we're going to hit escape because we're going to stop the game. And that's where we're going to stop because I'm a little bit over an hour. I'm going to try to keep these videos to about an hour. I will try to make them things like I just did here, explaining the mechanics, my decisions, my strategic decisions, things of that nature. And then missions I'm going to try and make be their own videos. So you just want to see the missions, you can just watch the missions and not worry about how the heck I got there. And if you're interested in all the strategic stuff, you can pick out the strategic things that you have a question about and would like to, see how I decided to fix that particular issue. Okay? I will try to title the videos that way so that you can, it'll be like first mission or, cleaner mission, this kind of mission, and UFO mission this, or, strategic decisions on operations points or strategic decisions base building. I'll put that in the title so that you can look at it and the rough day when that particular video starts, so that you can kind of get a timeline and decide when you want to watch what you want to watch. Okay? Hopefully that's useful to everybody. Again, if you like what you're seeing, please hit the like button, please leave me comments, and share it with your friends. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It helps small creators like me keep going, gives us a reason to keep doing things. I am trying to do this on soldier difficulty because I think that's what most people are going to start with that haven't ever played a game like this. All of the Xenonauts out there, all the aficionados and everything else, yeah, this is not your video, guys. This is somebody just playing it on regular difficulty to try and explain how things work and hopefully get people interested to purchase the game and help us make it even better in the future. They are still working on, we keep finding little bugs here and there, specifics. They have some language translation issues. There's been a couple of minor bugs that I didn't run into, but they found them and fixed them. Had to do with specific, like in a certain save. It's like in this save situation, if you do this, it breaks, and so they fixed it. And so they have little things like that. But in general, there's no game breaking. Like your game is over and you have to start over from the beginning. There's no bugs like that I've been able to find or seen reported. There are some things that are like, God, that's annoying that, it didn't save at the certain point or something, or it didn't, like you blew up a wall, but it looks like the wall's still there even though you can shoot through it. Some cosmetic things, little things like that they're still finding. We thought we found them all when we were playtesting. Obviously we did not. With a much larger pool of players, it helps a bunch when people play it and report those. So if you do purchase the game and you're playing it and something doesn't look right, file a bug report with them and they will look into it and see if they can fix it. Goldhawk and Hooded Horse are very good on making sure that they're supporting this game all the way through. My only pet peeve was I really wanted them to get a couple voice actors to just do the scientist and the operations officer. And to have their narrator narrate any of those, like that Shadow War thing, would have been cool. I think it would have been a much more immersive thing. I will try to remember to do my voices with the scientist and the operations officer when they come up. I'm not very good, so don't expect anything decent, but I'll try. All right, hopefully you're entertained with this, and we will come back and get to our first mission next time. I'm Dren608. Until we meet again, stay safe and bye-bye.